We are live. Hello, 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 everyone. Shout out to the people in the Zoom room. Shout out to the people on the YouTube. Shout out to the people on LinkedIn, Instagram. We have all platforms going and rolling. You probably hear my music in the back. Yes, listening to a little bit of mood music. Happy Wednesday. It is definitely fall. Here in the South, it's just a little bit chillier, and I love fall weather because I believe it is perfect for homecoming. So, shout out to everyone who is just having a really good weekend or weekends when it comes to homecoming. I'll be dipping my toe in the homecoming pond this weekend. So, I'm just really excited about what's on the horizon, but really just grateful for today. And the way that we get started is really just taking time to take a moment of breath, to take a minute of meditation, to take time to recenter ourselves. So we're going to do that right now. And so if you just can close your eyes, and whether you're in a place where it's quiet or it's not quiet, you can always recenter yourself and center yourself. And so this is just a way for you to practice, even if it's just for 1 minute. And so just close your eyes, take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, and just continue to focus on your breath. And I'm just in this feeling of gratitude. And so that's what this meditation will be around. It's just as you breathe in a breath of gratitude, right? Being grateful just for breath itself. So breathe in and breathe out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And breathing in and breathing out. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And just one last breath of gratitude. Breathe in and breathe out. That was just a little bit more than a minute, but doing a little bit more will not hurt. It will only help. So, shout out to that 1 minute plus of meditation. And today I'm just going to hop right into it, right? Today we are meeting at the intersection of communication and reflection, and dare I say, politics, right? It's like a buzzword right now. And I know some people are getting off of social media so that they can get away from um, politics and the election and everything that's going on. And before I even jump into everything, for those who don't know me, or this is your first time being in space with me, hello, how are you doing? I hope you are having a wonderful day. I hope that you are able just to take a moment to be in gratitude. I hope you enjoyed that moment of breath. But for those who do not know me, I am Imani Adia. I'm the founder of Soul 360, where we empower you with the tools and knowledge to transform your mindset and elevate your well being so that you live a life with greater clarity and meaning. And that is the work that I do. That is the work that I believe I am being called to do. And so I get up every day just excited to be able to help people on their journey lead a life with greater clarity and meaning. And so that's what I do, and that's what I help others do. But yes, welcome to those who are new to me, and welcome back to those who are always just tuned into the things that I'm saying and always adding value to having a conversation of just how can we become the best version of ourselves, which is really part of the conversation that we are having today. I really want to talk about communication and reflection and values, and even this election and how they all play a role, how they're all interconnected, how we are meeting at this intersection where you don't have one without the other. And so, what I really want to be able to do today is be able to share with you all how this conversation even came up and why I felt compelled to have a conversation with you all about it today. Especially because this is my personal, but also how I show up in a professional capacity. And a lot of people, they know me as a mindset coach, but in the work that I'm doing around um, mindset is also at the same time being aware and cognizant of the systems that have been built here in America and around the world. And today you get a little bit, a piece of that from me, just with my background in research, and ethnographic research, what I really love. Also, American history, African American history. I don't show as much of those pieces of who I am um, forefront, right at the forefront of my work, but there definitely is a layer there. And so I'm talking about that layer today. So I hope it is received well, and it's received to those that need to hear it. And hopefully at the end of this, people can say, oh, I learned something, or it was just an affirmation to something that you already knew, and was just wondering if other people knew it too. So we're going to jump into it. And the way that this conversation really stemmed for me as I was having a conversation with someone close to me, actually. And I asked them a question of just like, when do you plan on voting? And they were kind of like, dragging their feet at the question. And they were like, I don't know, I really don't care. And it just really sent me because I was like, you don't care about voting at all. The stakes of this election specifically for you, and you just don't care. And the words I don't care, they'll get me either way because I feel like when you don't care, you're not living intentionally. Um, I don't care are just words that just don't sit well with me. And then on top of that, it was I don't care about voting. And so I had a moment where I was just not showing up as the best version of myself. I was just like, you know what, this conversation, I guess, is really just over. I don't know what else we need to talk about if we're not talking about you voting. And after the conversation was over, I had a moment of reflection and I said, Imani, that was not you showing up as the best version of yourself. That was not you showing up as being someone, right, who not only wants to be heard, but wants to be understood. And that is a two-way street when it comes to communicating with someone. If you want someone to hear what you are saying, the best communicators know that they have to be flexible with the people that they are talking to. And so, in my reflecting of just not showing up as the best version of myself, which I will say is a question that I have been asking myself more often now. And as I continue on this journey of just self development and personal development, just because I'm a coach, it doesn't stop, right? I'm still on my own personal journey. And that's a question that I've been asking myself often is how do I show up as the best version of myself every day? How do I show up as the best version of myself in particular situations or in conversations with people? And so as I was reflecting, which I'm really glad to be at the point now where my subconscious is working with me, right? And my conscious are working together and they know this question of how do we show up as our best version of ourselves? And we've already defined what that looks like. And so, where there is a moment where I do not show up as the best version of myself, being able to reflect on that and course correct, right? And so, in course correcting, I literally had a conversation with myself and I was like, one of the things that we should have done, or next time, we need to listen to what it is that is the reason, right, for that person not wanting to vote. But just not even about voting, but just in general, what is the reason that they're saying something? Are you in this conversation to listen and understand, or are you in this conversation to only get your point across? And during that time, I was in the conversation only wanting to hear what I wanted to hear. And instead of being in the conversation and being able to listen and receive what the person on the other end of the call was telling me. And so that was number one, that's why I want to bring it up. And then number two, I decided to give this person a call back. This was hours later. So, we reflected, we've probably gone from, we're back at equilibrium, which is really great. I'm really, even now, I'm saying, how can we just stay at equilibrium? Not too high, not too low, just at equilibrium. And at equilibrium for me is just this peace that I'm able to go around the world in. It's been really good. And so as I am talking to this person, I'm like, hey, I did not respond in the way that I really wanted to respond. And so what I would really like to do is I apologize for that behavior. And I would really like to listen to the reason why you don't care or the reason why you don't want to vote. And I was able to listen to their reasons. And I was like, okay. And then I was able to say, well, this for me personally is the reason why I'm voting in this election and the reason why I vote. And they were able to receive that. And they were, at the end of the conversation, they were like, you know what, I'm going to vote because I also align with what you just said. What you said is something that is also important to me. It's something that I care about. And I walked away from that conversation feeling like it was a win. It was a win, right? Because I did get another person to say and commit to voting. And on the other end, it was a win because I was able to practice what I preach, right? It was a time of literally practicing what I preach. And if you have someone that you're following, a coach or a guru, whatever you want to call them, and they are not practicing what they're preaching, go follow somebody else. But it was really a moment for me to practice what I preach. And I felt so good in that moment to really practice communication because that's something that an area that I am really working and focusing on. And in communicating, I was really able to listen to the other person. And there's something I also have to do with my clients, right? Being able to really listen and understand and removing and being aware of my thoughts and being aware of my own emotions in the situation. You got to remove all that and you just have to be a listening ear. And then you say, what way can we go about this? How can we build a bridge to where we want to go, to where we truly understand and see each other? Because all I hear right now is that we have two different worldviews. We see things differently. And how can I better understand the way that you see the world? And how can you better understand the way that I see the world? And somewhere, somehow, we will find ourselves maybe seeing it the same. And if not the same, just better understanding each other. And so that was one for the books. And so even as I talk about communication and I talk about reflection, that's what I would like for you all to do is really ask yourself these questions in the way that you communicate with others, in the way that you reflect with yourself, and in the reflection, not pointing the finger at someone else, but pointing the finger at yourself and asking, how can I be better? What could I have done differently? And when you start asking those questions that then center around you, yourself, and your actions, you can start holding yourself accountable in a way that you've never done before. And it can be uncomfortable because it's nothing like looking at yourself and saying, that was a moment where, like, why would I do that? Why would you do that? And it's really hard to have those tough conversations with yourself when you're not showing up as yourself, as your best self. And so, in having those conversations with yourself, that's when you're able to show up as a better version of yourself. And even within that conversation, I realized when we got down to the nitty gritty, which was values, and the reason of voting, we realized that we had the same values. And so, when you removed all the fluff and everything, it was just like at the end of the day, we both value choice. And in the work that I do, and just me personally, one thing, something that I value highly is freedom. And I'm in this space of not just valuing freedom, but freedom towards, and how do we think of freedom being like a bird in the sky instead of freedom being a bird trying to get loose from a cage. And so the freedom is the bird is already flying and it's flying towards this feeling of already being free or already free. instead of flying away from being chained or kept in a cage. And so I feel like that is something I definitely need to break down and have a conversation with another day, because that in itself is a whole different topic and conversation of the way that you move towards or from something. But yeah, that's definitely a little nugget to drop. But speaking of values, and specifically of freedom and of choice, and seeing the way that our values connected each other and made everything become so simple. It was like the answer automatically became a yes, where you didn't have to think about or question the decision that you were making, because when you align to your values, it's so simple for you to either say yes or no. And so, in that, it was just reaffirming to see and to have that conversation with someone, and also to see all these different things come out of this one conversation, um, in terms of communication and self reflection and values and politics, and really trying at the core then to see how all these things are definitely connected. And when I talk about politics, right, I want to get clear on that definition of just how a country is governed. So, like the laws, the policies, the rules, the laws, the choices, right? The choices that you can and cannot make. And as I said, I'm a really big on freedom. Is something that I value. I believe it's a birthright for everyone. And as the saying goes, the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. And so in this time, I'm reminding people to stay vigilant about what it is that they value in the world that we want to create, in the world that we want to see. And as I say this, and as I, even today, as I, if we're really being honest, contemplating even having this conversation or coming up here talking about this, because politics right now is just such a buzzword for people. In the election, I really had to think of my mentor, Mr. Joe Madison, um, who passed. And really, throughout this whole election cycle, I've really been thinking about him. And his question has always been, what are you going to do about it? And I just knew that because this election was so important to me, I at least had to have at least one conversation, even if it wasn't one that I normally would talk about on these different platforms. But it's something that it's so important to me, and it's conversations that I'm having right privately with people one on one in my life. But what does it mean to bring it to the platform and bring it in a way that's different to maybe how other people are doing it, but also in a way where it's really just this openness of, and a conversation of the reason why you feel like you are not part of this democracy, or what your feelings are around being anti-voting or not wanting to vote or not seeing yourself in this election. And so there's a lot of conversations being had, and I just wanted to be able to open up that space to other people. And I'm wrapping up soon, but what I'll end with is the reason why I vote is because I value freedom and I value choice, and I value people being able to make choices for themselves. And in having choice, I believe that that's where you're able to really show up as the best version of yourself. I believe in being limitless. I believe in reimagining. I think about how we're literally living in a world that was once in someone's imagination. Like, I am living in someone's imagination, and I choose to live in my own. And I choose not only to live in my imagination, but to make it a reality, not only for myself, but for other people. And so casting a ballot is only one way for me to do that. I think there are many different levers that are being pulled. Actually, I know that they are. For me, voting is just one piece in many pieces of the puzzle. Um, and so this is me opening up to anybody in that in for anyone to have that conversation of just what does it mean to be or to make voting one piece of your puzzle and to know the reason for what that you are doing something, because I also believe that it's very important. And so that's my why, that's my what. And so just to be able as well to honor those before me, um, those who laid a foundation before they even knew my name, and for those who literally did know my name, and the work that they did in doing so. And so that what also is part of my what and my why. And so, yeah, that's what I will leave you all with today. This is very different because I feel like this is such a timely, right, um, moment or conversation that we are having. And I hope that it serves well. It'll probably up for only a limited time. And so what I will ask you all to do is just drop in the comments or wherever you are your what, your why for voting, and in hopes that it will inspire other people to go out and exercise their right to vote as well. And so until next time, go vote and be limitless. Signing out, Imani Dia. Bye, y'all.